This is a story about a murder mystery, a thriller which could have come from the pages of Agatha Christie, except for the fact that this tale is true. This mystery involves a murdered woman, her missing husband, and this house upon a Hughes County hill. Sheriff Orville Rose was the first lawman on the scene that rainy Sunday night. He and his deputy smelled death as they approached the house. Inside, they found Darlene Spiker locked in a bathroom, her hands and feet bound with nylon hosiery. She had apparently been strangled 5 days before. The house was undisturbed. A coffee pot was still warming on the stove. A wallet containing $600 in cash was untouched. But Mrs. Spiker's husband, Terry, was missing. He's not been seen since. The burly rancher's truck was found in a nearby pasture. His personal effects, including his toupee, were found in his bedroom. The OSBI is searching for Terry Spiker. The Bureau would also like to question this man. Neighbors say the man in this sketch was seen at the Spiker home about the same time Mrs. Spiker was last seen alive. He's described as a white male, 6'2", 190 pounds, with blue eyes, blondish red color-length hair, and blonde beard and sideburns.
It's all speculation since he's never been found.
Former Assistant District Attorney Greg Smith helped find Mrs. Spiker's body last October. He has 3 theories about what happened: murder-suicide, murder-abduction, or murder runoff.
And nothing makes sense in the case when you look at any one of the theories. You can find things in the case to say, well, that's not what happened because, and you can say why it wouldn't make sense, and no one's ever going to know what happened in this case until we get a break and find out what happened, and then we can sit back and say, well, yeah, we can see that makes sense now.
The OSBI will pay $5,000 for information leading to the conviction of Darlene Spiker's killer. Lawmen hope the reward will help them find out what happened last October so they can close the books on this mystery. Scott Wallace, Action 4 near Calvin.
It don't make me mad, it just kind of frustrates me. I just sit back and whether or not if it gets too high for me personally, I just stop and it'd be cheaper for me to ride the transit every day, like I said.
It's pretty bad. It is. Shit. When they gonna stop?
You gotta have it, you gotta get around.
These farmers are boarding their tractors, not to farm, but to fight. They're rolling out prepared to tackle not wheat fields, but the federal government. They're fighting mad over federal bankruptcy laws. Laws they say threaten farmers with losing it all. Grain elevators nationwide are going bankrupt. Bankruptcy often claims the farmer's grain, leaving the farmer with no grain and no money. These farmers near Billings have rallied to fight the bankruptcy laws and help a friend, Wayne Christ, a Missouri farmer who took his grain from a bankrupt elevator.
Our complaint is that Wayne Christ's in jail over no fault of his own for removing his own property. And the yellow ribbons is because we consider him a hostage, just like the Iranian hostages were of a few years ago. And so this is our way of showing that we're for Wayne and that we're going to do everything we can to help him out.
Today, these farmers plan and organize. On Sunday, they're caravanning to Little Rock, Arkansas, fighting for new federal bankruptcy laws and their friends' freedom. Debbie Mash, Action 4, near Billings, Oklahoma.
incident started as a holdup inside the Sirloin Stockade restaurant on Lincoln Boulevard. Witnesses told us the suspect and a male companion ate dinner and then left arguing. The woman returned, walked up to the cashier, and demanded all the money.
And we thought she was playing at first until she showed a little Saturday night special. My manager started giving her the money, and I was trying to just slip away a little bit. She told me to come back to the register. And as I came back to the register, my manager slipped out the door through the back way, walked around through the front, and locked the doors so she couldn't get out.
The woman filled her purse with money and then fired a shot into the ceiling. She tried to leave, but quickly discovered both outside doors locked. Manager Herlin Nedio came back into the restaurant and locked the woman into the entry area.
And she was trying to pull the door open to keep me from locking it. And I pushed it back and locked it, and then she shot. And that's when I moved, but the door was locked. My instinct first was she wasn't getting away with this. That was the first instinct I thought. So she didn't.
Could have been your last.
Yeah, right.
One of the restaurant owners had some advice for his manager if there ever is a next time.
I'd just let her go, period. I wouldn't have locked anything.
Police impounded this Cadillac they say was going to be the getaway car. Officers are still looking for a man who might be involved in the robbery. But police and restaurant workers are just glad this Sirloin Stockade robbery turned out much differently than the one in July of '78 when 7 people were gunned down. Mark O'Neill, Action 4, Northeast Oklahoma City. It seems like there's always something new going up at Will Rogers World Airport. Construction workers today are pouring concrete for a new runway apron. Just to the south stands a brand new multi-level parking garage, and underneath that is the state's only moving sidewalk. The latest project will be built here on the east end of the terminal. This wall will be extended 100 feet to make room for a new ticket counter and an up-to-date baggage claim facility.
We feel that the time is now to expand the terminal. In addition, in the last 2 years, Oklahoma City has received 4 additional major airlines to Oklahoma City, and we anticipate that kind of growth will continue.
The $5 million project will also give a facelift to the present terminal. Check-in facilities will be improved, along with larger retail and restaurant areas. Work is expected to start in September and could take as long as 1.5 years to complete. Mark O'Neill, Action 4, Will Rogers World Airport.
The Oklahoma City Animal Shelter. Each year, some 40,000 animals pass through these cages. Playful puppies and cute kittens await adoption here. Shamar is also awaiting a new home. The 400-pound Siberian tiger has been living at the shelter for the past 6 months, ever since he mauled the little girl during a photo session. Shamar's owner didn't want him back, so the city's been looking for a good home for the tiger. But the search has been tough. Most zoos and circuses have more big cats than they need. In fact, some zoos have resorted to killing young cubs in order to reduce feline overpopulation. The city doesn't plan to take such a drastic measure, but it would like to find Shamar a good home soon. The 10 pounds of chicken and meat he consumes each day is about to wreck the shelter's food budget. Big Cat has already gained 100 pounds during his half-year stay. There have been a lot of offers, but the city won't let just anyone adopt Shamar. Animal experts will have to approve any potential home before they let him go. Shelter officials say they have a couple of solid prospects. They hope to place him in a suitable home before the next feed bill arrives. Scott Wallace, Action 4, Southeast Oklahoma City.
They spend 26% of their disposable income on food, and whereas we spend 18% or 18.9, I believe. So if they'd open up those markets, free them completely, the economists have figured that we could cut the Japanese food bill by 25%, and just raise their standard of living very rapidly. And so I think it's a matter of time, and we're just hoping that it isn't a long period of time. We'd like to see a very short period of time that they can liberalize trade and let us in there with our agricultural products and our services, our investment, those kinds of things. They've got restrictions on quite a few things for us. You know, we buy their products for two reasons. Because of quality and because of price. And so they're over here and they're available to us, and that's why we buy them. And that was a big pitch that we made to the Japanese diet was let our products in and let your people decide, and they'll buy for the same reasons, because of quality and because of price.
The beef we buy at the grocery store will soon cost 3 to 4% more than the beef we bought last year. That's according to the Agriculture Department's Economic Research Service. The reason? Well, economists claim the sharp reduction in beef output brought on by poor feeding margins has sent prices for live animals soaring. By late April, steer prices rose 15%. How will this 3 to 4% increase affect restaurants?
When you stop and consider that we'll buy probably 65 to 70 loins a week, 3% of that is a good deal of money. You know, it's a good deal of money. And if we can't absorb it, then naturally we'll have to pass it on. But we're fixed up that we can absorb most of it.
Percy Wade says he'll just hold the line for a while. He wishes other businesses would do the same. He adds, then we won't have the big price influx that will kill beef prices. Ben McCain, Action 4, South Oklahoma City.
It was a high-stepping night at the Heritage Place for more than 1,000 guests. The festive party, hosted by Jack and Judy Hodges, carried out a Western theme in dress and decor. Several celebrities were on hand for the gala. Well-known Don Cherry captured the hearts of many fans. And of course, former home run king Mickey Mantle caught the attention of sports lovers. Well, speaking of sports lovers, most Oklahomans recognized OU coach Barry Switzer. And for the women in the audience, heartthrob James Garner was in attendance. But tonight's affair was for more than just fun and stargazing. All the proceeds from the $100 plate dinner will go to the Oklahoma Society to Prevent Blindness. Last year, the Swing for Sight Golf Festival raised over $140,000 for the worthy cause. Most of that came from the high-bidding auction held at the end of the evening. This year, organizers hope to match that high dollar figure and raise even more to benefit research for the prevention of blindness. Carol Lambert, Action 4 at the Heritage Place.
vans in protest. Members of the American agriculture movement are known for this, but the agriculture group has a better reputation for its tractorcades at the nation's capital. Now they're rallying around a Missouri farmer. His name is Wayne Kreitz. He's being held in a Little Rock, Arkansas jail. A federal judge jailed Kreitz for refusing to identify others who helped him raid a bankrupt warehouse last summer. How do the leaders of the two largest farm organizations in Oklahoma feel about the protest?
As long as they do it peacefully, why, that's all right, but I certainly don't advocate violence at all. I suppose that might be the two biggest difference between the AAM and Farmers Union. I think the AAM learned a lesson in Washington that you just don't go up there and destroy property and run over people and expect to get some action.
I don't know Mr. Kreitz, but I would say one thing in his favor: he didn't squeal on his friends when he was asked to. He took jail instead, and to me that's the mark of a man. But that way of doing things is just not our way.
Although the two farm leaders may not agree with the agriculture movement's way of doing things, they certainly join the movement in its concern for the problems dealing with warehouse receipts. Ben McCain, Action 4, Oklahoma City.
When the last car rolled off the assembly line at the GM plant in January, a lot of people were out of work. Lights out was nothing to cheer about for most employees. But for one group, it was the beginning of a very busy time. Electricians, pipe setters, and millwrights began retooling the plant for A-body cars, the Buick Century and Chevy Celebrity, to go with the X-body Citation already made at the plant. The plant was scheduled to reopen on May 3rd, so these workers put in a lot of overtime to make sure it was ready. Their efforts made it possible for 2,400 Oklahomans to return to work on time. But now that the plant has been refitted, GM has begun laying off some of the tradesmen.
The fact that they were working overtime was due to our project. It isn't something we could have postponed and worked over a period of time. We had to start the plant May 3rd, and so some of the items that we needed to completion to be able to start the plant, we needed to work overtime to get those complete.
Mayor said a dozen tradesmen were laid off last Friday, and 70 are scheduled to be out of a job by the end of May. GM hopes to open a second shift in about 6 months, so the tradesmen can return to work. Bill Ross, Action 4, at the General Motors plant.
On the north side, the flooding begins here, in the fields. Tiny waterfalls can be seen from the roads as the water makes its way to low-lying areas. The truly hazardous conditions begin here in the creek beds. When the rains run into the creeks, the levels rise and in turn flood another area. Rains aren't the only reason for the flooding. The north side has a problem with clogging channels. The drains literally back up. Which leads us to this, the problem you and I are most familiar with, flooding roads. The water at this intersection isn't that deep, but it's moving quickly, which causes hazardous driving conditions. The cross street here is a perfect example of a flash flood. County road workers say this area floods whenever there's heavy rains. They feel the only solution is lots of money from the county and taxpayers so that the drains can be fixed.
Sherry Sellers, Action 4 on the north side of Oklahoma City.
I'm here with the Action 4 news crew on top of Mount Scott, which is in the Wichita Mountains near Lawton. There has been confirmed funnel activity around this entire area throughout the day, but so far, fortunately, there have not been any reports of severe damage in the immediate area. There was a report, though, about 7:30 of a tornado that did touch the ground in Throckmorton, Texas. Now, that's about 60 miles southwest of Wichita Falls, and we understand that that tornadic activity is moving toward the Oklahoma area. You know, many people give a lot of time and volunteer hours spotting tornado activity during crucial times like this. Just about an hour ago, I talked with the Civil Defense Director in Lawton, Richard Atkins, and asked him how the local situation was shaping up.
Right now, we're in a holding pattern. We've got some moderate thunderstorms building up to the south and southwest of Lawton. Doesn't appear to be anything of very heavy intensity down there at the present time. We've got one cell between Walters and Geronimo in this area here that's been kind of building up and then backing off a little bit, but I haven't seen anything really severe or real heavy in that area.
No funnel sighted?
No funnel sighted at this time, and we haven't really had any since early this morning sighted.
Heavy rains or high winds?
We've had some rain, but no real high winds. This last system that came through that affected Vernon this afternoon didn't really, when it got here, didn't really have very high winds, and at 25 miles an hour, probably tops here.
We understand there are still several storm cells moving into the southwestern part of Oklahoma. The Action 4 news crew will remain in the Lawton area and monitor any situation and keep you updated if any immediate danger arises. I'm Carol Lambert reporting from Mount Scott near Lawton.
These people wanted a house near the lake, but probably not this close. This is an expensive area in town called Colonial Park. The neighborhood was heavily damaged just 3 years ago in the 1979 tornado. Overall, the damage in Wichita Falls isn't as extensive as that last disaster, but the cost is still going to be high.
I would anticipate that we're probably talking, because of the wide spread area, that we're talking about some of the newer construction. This is some of the same area that the tornado in 79 did destruction, and of course these homes have been built back. You're talking about, I would assume, figures into the millions of dollars.
Most of the damage so far has been in Jackson County, near Altus, specifically at the Altus Air Force Base. But insurance adjusters say the damages in rural Jackson County could be as much as $8.5 to $12 million. State officials aren't sure what the totals will be in the flooded parts of the state. High waters will have to recede before estimates can be made. Chris Waters of the Southwestern Insurance Information Service tells what homeowners can do to help with the damage estimates.
They'll probably start a cleanup operation, I imagine, and they want to avoid throwing anything away, even if they think it's a total loss. They should hold on to everything, because it helps the adjuster when they come out. They can see the item, and they can then help speed the settlement of the claim. If possible, it's best to do a room-by-room inventory.
Some people began cleaning up and putting things back together almost immediately. Other people will have to wait. The damage estimates and cleanup cost will surely go higher, both from the storms the last few days and any other spring storms that may hit Oklahoma. Charles Schnetzer, Action 4.
clearance, smoke now. Smoke off now.
For the second year in a row, marching bands helped to usher in the Founders Day celebrations in Nicoma Park, Oklahoma. Nicoma Park is a small town inside a big city, landlocked between Oklahoma City, the Mid-Del area, and Choctaw. The town only numbers around 3,000 strong. That's the way people here want to keep it. Today they celebrated the pioneer spirit that keeps them small and keeps them an independent town.
The recodification will clarify and bring all of our codes up to the state level to where all the large towns around us, we will be in total compliance, and no one can say, well, Nicoma Park should be dissolved or anything like that, because we will be totally legal, we will have our sewer system, and, hey, we're here to stay. The big giants are not going to get Nicoma Park.
The activities were scheduled to last all day. They were meant as a message to any giant around that the people of Nicoma Park don't consider their town a part of any other, and they don't want to see their annexation as a part of anybody's future history. Charles Schnitzer, Action 4, in Nicoma Park.